Welcome to the Luna Holistic Podcast. I'm your host, Geneva Robbins, and every month on this podcast, we'll talk about Reiki, as well as answering your questions on all things spiritual. We are gratefully located in Calgary in Treaty 7 territory. Thank you all and welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to the Luna Holistic Podcast. My name's Geneva Robbins, and today I have Tanya Brightman with me. Say hello, Tanya.
Hello, everybody.
Good to have you here. We're chatting about an exciting new offering or an expansion of the offerings we've had at Luna, which is mobile Reiki sessions. So we've been doing this off and on throughout the years, but now we're going to be offering it on a more consistent basis to basically travel to you, whether you're in maybe a hospital or long-term care, or you need somebody to come to your home. We now have that ability through Luna Holistic, and Tanya's spearheading that effort to bring more mobile Reiki to you all. So that's super exciting. So thanks for being here, Tanya.
Thanks for having me. It's great. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yay. It's so good. And before we jump in, I always like to do our little collective breath of gratitude, just a mini meditation to settle in the energy. You can gently close your eyes. If you're driving, keep your eyes open, but just tuning in, dropping into the core energy inside, just directing your focus inward, and then connecting down through your legs, down into the earth, and spreading out your awareness to the land that surrounds you in this moment. Maybe the trees and the creatures that might inhabit the space where you're living. Send a wave of gratitude into that nurturing presence, the life that lives all around you right now. Noticing your connection to all of life. With each exhale, extending a wave of gratitude into the earth and into the environment. And notice that wave of gratitude ripple back to you, honoring the connection that you have with all of life. When you're ready, you can gently wiggle your fingers and toes, and you can open your eyes. There we go. Amazing. Thank you, Tanya. So good. I love these little mini meditations, just like I love Reiki. And I'm really excited to bring Reiki to people in more spaces and kind of reaching people who maybe would find it difficult to access a Reiki session in other ways. And I know that you're really passionate about that as well, which is great. But before we sort of jump into like what is mobile Reiki and how people might go about getting a session, maybe you can chat a little bit about how you got started in Reiki in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. No, so for me, it was like 2014. I took a Reiki course at Mount Royal with my friend Judy, and she's like, come take this Reiki. And I'm like, I don't know what that's about. So did a weekend and learned a lot then, and I didn't know at the time what I was going to do with it. But then as it turned out, I went back to work and I had a really stressful work situation, and I was able to draw on all the things that I'd learned in that weekend session about Reiki and use those techniques on myself to bring myself into a calmer state and to feel really connected to my core and to feel my own strength and just really boost myself up and just get through that stressful part of returning back to work. And then, yeah, and then I just would do it on and off as needed, but really was working as an occupational therapist. And then when I finally retired in 2021, I took took early retirement, but just was thinking about as the time was going, what am I going to do with my life, my big life that I've got ahead of me? And I remembered all that time I, been benefiting from Reiki and wanting to get back to that and learn those techniques really more thoroughly. And thought, okay, I'll find a Reiki master in Calgary that I like and take a session with her and find out how it is. And so I met you and I had a session and I thought, this is the kind of Reiki I want to do and I want to learn more about it. So I went back to Reiki school and I did the sessions, level 1, 2, 3, and master. And then thought about how I want to do Reiki. And, we were talking one day and I said, oh, I really want to do Reiki and with other people. I want to volunteer and I want to do mobile Reiki and I'd love to work at Luna. And you're like, yeah, let's do this. So yeah, so got on to working at Luna in April of last year and just loving it and doing lots of Reiki there and doing Reiki at Wellspring. And now I want to do mobile Reiki more where people are at in their homes or the hospital or hospice or whatever and just take it to where it needs to go.
Beautiful. I love that. That's so great. It's exciting. For those who maybe don't know, maybe you can describe a little bit about your work at Wellspring also, because that's a really cool resource for people in Calgary and I guess even wider
Yeah.
ranging. Yeah.
Yeah. So Wellspring is an organization that helps support people going through their journey with cancer, or also they can be a caregiver for someone going through cancer. And Wellspring has two places here in Calgary. One is called Karma House, and that's in the Bowness area. And then there's another place in the Seton area near the hospital called the Randy O'Dell House. So really what Wellspring is about is it's like a community and it's welcoming folks that are dealing with cancer to have someone to talk to, but also have a program that they can do. Maybe it's yoga or Tai Chi or it's art. And it's all of these things that are going to help support them as a person to be stronger, to be better, or to be able to deal with the stress that's coming or that is present in their life. And one of the programs that they offer there as well is Reiki. They'll let folks have 2 sessions of Reiki, whether it's at Karma House or Randy O'Dell or wherever. So there's myself there and another Reiki master, Karen, in Seton. So yeah, doing those sessions. And it's great because it's a really good supportive session and helps people really just be calmer and deal with their anxiety and just feel more themselves and able to deal with things. We also have online programs, so it's just amazing. And they have a great website. So I really encourage people to take a look at that and find out more and give them a call because they have wonderful volunteers there that can answer questions and really lead people to the right fit for them. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We'll put a link in our show notes for
Oh, yeah.
people if that sounds like a resource that you might want to connect with. I just love that really holistic support for people who are going through a big sort of tender moment in their lives, either dealing with a big diagnosis or supporting somebody who's going through it. It can be quite a stressful time. And Reiki is such a great comfort, I find, in these sort of big life moments. And that's really partly why we want to bring mobile Reiki sessions to people. Because if you're going through a big life moment and you can't get yourself easily from point A to point B, we can come to you either in a hospital or hospice or long-term care or wherever you happen to be in sort of Calgary area. If you want us to travel further afield, then we can, contact us and we can work that out. But we're really happy to sort of bring Reiki to people. I guess for you, Tanya, who do you feel like might benefit from mobile Reiki sessions?
Yeah. One of the ideas I had, like, I was working as an occupational therapist, was I knew folks that were, challenged by their mobility or just even whatever physical difficulties they're having with their diagnosis or their illness. And so, like, even just getting out to an appointment is really difficult for some folks, like just booking the Access Calgary, getting into the wheelchair or getting into the taxi and getting somewhere and coming back home, and all these unknowns as well about how the journey is going to go, that can just put people off from going at all. And also the level of maybe discomfort when they are at a setting, are they going to be able to lay on the massage table, and are they going to be able to get, into the building? So I thought of, if they could not have those concerns and someone comes to them, that would enhance their access to Reiki, but also perhaps enhance their enjoyment or their experience of it and get more out of it and have the benefits a little easier
Mhm.
without the worries about how it's going to go.
Yeah, yeah, and you're familiar with doing home visits like that because your previous career was as an occupational therapist. So,
Yeah, lots of home visits, lots of different settings like long term care or supportive living. So I'm not worried about coming to someone's home. I'm used to doing that. And I think, I have a pretty good sense of my spidey sense about, safety as well. And it's an honor to come to someone's house too and to be in
mhm,
their space. So I carry that with me as well as, like, thank you for letting me come in, and I'm happy
mhm.
to be here. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and I always think with Reiki, the energy that is created when we do a Reiki session, it's sort of like a Reiki. I always feel like it's like a pop-up shop. So as soon as we start the Reiki sessions for other practitioners and maybe other areas, if you're thinking about doing mobile Reiki sessions for clients, what I find sort of as a teacher is that as soon as you start bringing in the energy and setting the intention to do a Reiki session, you sort of create this really stable bubble of energetic space around you as a practitioner and the person receiving Reiki. And what I like about that is that it can deal with quite a lot of disruptions. So sometimes people are really concerned about, like, well, if I'm at the hospital, I'm just sort of waiting here. There's a lot of downtime in hospitals, either in pre-op or post-op. Sometimes you're there for quite a while, but the hospital staff have a job to do, and they will do their job. And that is no problem at all. So when I've done hospital visits, nurses come and go. They can take your blood, they can take your blood pressure. If we need to step out of the room, we step out of the room. And it doesn't really disturb the energy at all. The energy can keep on flowing, even though there's the hubbub. If the doctor comes around for rounds, and that's primary because that's why you're in the place in the first place, right? So it's sort of like Reiki part A, part B. We just split up the session and just come back in later or come back at another time. It's totally fine. And sometimes can be helpful as well because some of those procedures are just, sometimes people are, really afraid of the pokes and the jabs, and to have support because it's such a vulnerable space to be energetically and emotionally. And I find when we do Reiki in those moments, it can be really, really supportive because then you're getting care in that sort of critical moment in time. So you're getting this sort of gentle support. And then also we can set intentions for sort of your long-term healing. So sort of where you want to be once you leave those spaces, or what your recovery might look like. And that could be at any point during that arc of your healing. What's your thoughts on sessions in sort of busier places?
At Wellspring, it can be a little busy, with the noise or people moving around in the outside of the corridor there, but I don't find it distracting for myself. And people, do comment, oh yeah, I heard this, but I'm here in the session, and they usually just have a little moment of like, oh yeah, this is going on, and then come right back into the session as well. So I don't find it that difficult to keep going and just go back to the flow. And that's a really good, I think, real life experience of how Reiki can be calming. Is that, yeah, we had this little blip, but hey, we're right back into it, and this is always accessible to us as well. This sense of calm and this grounding, and I think that's also a really good reminder of this tool that we can use in any situation.
Yeah. And then also the nice thing with mobile sessions is that you get that hands-on Reiki session, which it can be really supportive when you're going through a lot physically, to just have that care and that connection. And especially for, seniors and long-term care, getting that nurturing support and connection is maybe easier to have a mobile session than, say, a distance session, because of hurdles in technology or having a phone that's available or whatever. The person can be more comfortable. If people are listening and they are sort of a caregiver for somebody in these spaces, like, you can absolutely like reach out to us and set up an appointment for someone else, as long as that someone else agrees to receive
Yeah.
Reiki. We don't want to just show up and they'll be like, I don't want a Reiki session.
Oh, call her. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
there is sort of a gray zone if you are the decision maker for your person, your consent matters. But I still like to get consent from the person receiving Reiki as well. Even if they're nonverbal, there's lots of cues or indicators of consent from the person receiving Reiki. And that's such a big, important piece for me, because I feel like Reiki is really helping people with their self healing. So we're not the agents of healing, like the energy of the universe is, Reiki itself is the energy that's creating the change, and that person's own natural resources for healing are also what's kind of being called in. So I always like to really have that person's investment in their own care and their own well-being. I think no matter what the session is, when people are involved in it and are engaged in the process, they just get a better result. That's kind of where I stand with that. But how about for you?
I thought about that too, because like, oh, it's no big deal. Like I know what's going on, but I was like, wait, how are you going to do this? So
Mhm.
yeah, like I have a little portable stool that I can bring, because where I want to be positioned by the person might need some my own little spot to sit on, and certainly we would arrange prior to coming which location is going to be. Like, are they going to be in their wheelchair? Are they going to be in a bed? Are they going to be on the couch? That kind of thing, right? To have a discussion about where that's going to be. And then, yeah, I've got my little stool to put beside there. I can wear a mask if people would be more comfortable with that. We have hand sanitizer to just make sure that, there's all that degree of safety and sanitizing. And I have a few crystals I can bring as well that I think are always wonderful for just creating a lovely environment and a nice space. And then just some, yeah, basic logistics of like, is there parking? Do I have to like ring this doorbell or a code? Is there a dog or a cat that maybe, wouldn't like me around? So, maybe they want to be in a different room. I don't know. And that would be all the things that I would have also experienced in home care, right? Doing that call prior to like, okay, what's the setting I'm going into, and what's your home, and just that, first connection with somebody as well. So they also have a feeling of trust from me too. Like, I'm talking to them about stuff. I'm asking them questions. I care, right? I want to know what their needs are. And that also circles back to what you're saying about the intention of the session, and whether the person, is agreeing to have Reiki. And I feel like, setting that intention and talking to them about where they're at and what energy they want to bring in is always I think it's always a very validating experience for the person. Like, oh, wow, I get to, bring in energy that's going to be just for me and helping me. And I really appreciate that this is for me, and this is, going to help me, and I always find that, they just feel that, wow, this is great. I can ask for this support. I love it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And we can also bring in a mobile Reiki table. It's like it's a massage table. If the person is able, they can get on the massage table just fully clothed, and then the session itself is just gentle touch, but we can modify. So if there are places that are, tender to the touch or whatever, or in the whole session can be no touch, but still with the person in person, and just really adapting for the person's needs. And then also, if the person has a lot of physical pain, sometimes you can't be in one position for very long, and that's totally okay. You can move around, you can roll around, you can get up, you can sit up, and um, you know, adjust. If you've got an adjustable bed or chair, you can move it around as much, and then we just sort of adapt and move around for you, and so then you're not feeling like you have to be stuck in one position, or getting up or getting down, or if you need to be sort of semi reclined, that's totally okay. Reiki can work by distance all the way around the world. So we've done distance sessions far, far, far away from here. So it's really easy for us to adapt so that you can be comfortable and you can still receive all of the same energy with all of that going on. And we just sort of work on a case by case basis to see how, what your needs are and the particular setting and the space that's there, and just sort of working something out that works for you and works for us. And the whole idea is to make it, adaptable and as easy as possible to get Reiki in those moments where you might really want a boost of healing. If you're at home recovering after a big operation or something like that, where you're just kind of just sitting waiting for your tissues to knit together, where you might want to have somebody come to your home and get some care. And then we also are happy to go to hospice settings as well. So if people are in palliative care and at the end of their life, Reiki is a very beautiful comfort. There can be a lot of fear and anxiety sort of towards the end of life for people. And those sessions are just beautiful. Really, it's a huge honor to. I think of it as like being there around the end of life is just as special and precious spiritually as being around at the beginning of somebody's life. Those threshold moments carry a lot of beauty, and Reiki can be a real comfort. Reiki can't prevent somebody from crossing. We don't have that power. That's a much higher power who decides that. But those moments can be filled with grace and peace. And there's a lot of I find in just my practice that there's a lot of pain relief that can happen in Reiki sessions. So emotional pain can be lifted, and sometimes people experience relief of physical pain. There's some really interesting research out about arthritis, and the Reiki sessions have a pain relieving effect that is on par in some cases, maybe with opioids. So, which is really, really cool. It's something that I have experienced personally. I've seen and been part of sessions with the people, but it's always really cool to have like the data to show that no, this is a real effect and can help people, on a spiritual and emotional level, but it also might just provide comfort for whatever people are going through. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Tanya? I know you're really excited by that study too.
Oh yeah, that study was really great. And there are more too, like,
Mhm.
looking at the literature because, going to school and university, you get used to looking at studies. So yeah, that's one thing I thought too. I thought, I wonder how many studies, been done on Reiki. And there are a lot for sure. And just even that idea of like, well, it's all maybe it's placebo, right? Maybe it's just someone's being there. And that's also been shown to be, that Reiki has more of a benefit than the placebo effect of someone pretending to do Reiki. So I like all those bits of data and information. And I feel like that's just fueling more studies to be happening. So I think it's very exciting. Yeah. And I think what's really great about, going back to Wellspring is that they always look at studies as well. And that's why they chose to have Reiki available for their members. And that's really encouraging, I think, because, it's just another show of support that this is really great work to do for everyone. And here they want to provide a good service. But just also, yeah, means that going out to someone's home or to the hospital is going to be beneficial.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely.
Quite a few hospitals in the States have Reiki volunteers as well. So not just say like the example, the Wellspring program, but different hospitals in the States. I couldn't find a hospital in Canada, but maybe there are some I just haven't found yet that I have programs. Yeah. But I think that's just great.
Yeah, I feel like it's in a zone of expansion. Reiki's been around for a really long time, but the studies on how it fits into a person's care have, the funding dollars for the studies have happened. So now people can really understand what we've known for a while doing Reiki is that it is a really supportive, gentle modality that helps provide comfort and ease in many, many different ways and really helps, even just emotional processing. It's so emotional to go through these big moments in life and just being able to get that support right in the moment when it's all happening. I find things don't stick as much or as long. That's been my approach. If I've ever I've had a few hospital visits myself, and I always make sure I stack Reiki before and after and during, just to try to get as much care and support to help with that healing. With that, there are some things to think about, especially if there is sort of an operation or procedure. It's usually best to not get Reiki like right when the operation is happening. Sometimes people ask, can you send me Reiki at my operation time? And I usually like to have it either right before or right after, but not right during surgery. And for lots of reasons, like probably nothing terrible would happen, but uh, sometimes people think that doctors and nurses are not spiritual people, but I have met many very sensitive doctors and nurses, and you want them focused on the task at hand. If they start feeling a big wave of energy, you want people to be really 3D when they're doing their operation. So I just like to let the professionals do their work. And other times too, the anesthetic and different things can be read by the body as toxins, and Reiki wants to help you detoxify things. So that's what my teachers taught me, was to not do Reiki right in, if somebody's needing urgent care or they're right in the middle of a surgery, is like you can send them a kind intention, but just hold off on a big session until they're, through their procedure. So,
I think that's, yeah, really important. And I think too, like for me as a, both a receiver of Reiki and a provider, like I like to have discussion about how the session went and talk about maybe I had some feelings of color or different sensations in my body or just those images that are really, I think, help us grow, in all those different ways. And I think that's such a wonderful experience to share that with the Reiki practitioner that's with you. And so, yeah, if you're having surgery and you're not really thinking of, not able to talk about it because you're just really in a different zone, then it's kind of missing out, I think, on one of the wonderful parts of the Reiki that, we provide at Luna Holistic, and that, before with the intentions, and then the session, and then after as well, talking about how, when, and even just going forward, like what's going to be next for the person too. And yeah, so yeah, it's good to be grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, being grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we tend to do with mobile sessions is that really they are a copy of what you would get in if you were to come into our center at Luna Holistic. We would chat for a little bit about where you're at, review a bit of your recent health history. It doesn't have to go into everything that's happened, but we do like to hit the high notes of what you're dealing with that day. We can either fill out the forms with you or you can fill them out in advance. And so we kind of do a little short review and then we take your intention. So basically, how you would like to feel or what energy you would like to harmonize with, maybe a healing intention. And that's sort of our focus as we're doing the Reiki session, but it's also something that you can really think about or imagine that energy harmonizing with you while you're receiving Reiki, because sometimes people are like, what do I do while I'm receiving
Yeah.
Reiki?
Yeah.
Basically, it's a meditation that you get help with. So we're helping to focus and hold this steady energy of healing and well-being for you and guiding you to relax into that space. We sometimes do a guided meditation, cueing you to maybe breathe or relax or focus on energy in different parts of the body. If you have breathing issues, you don't need to worry too much. We can totally adapt. So you don't need to change your breathing pattern in order to meditate. We can help guide you through just the energy expansion. And we can talk as the session goes along, so it doesn't have to be totally silent. So if things start shifting or you need to move or you feel different things, you can always just let us know and we can just sort of go with that. And then at the end of the session, we always leave time at the end to sort of debrief, and we want to know what you experienced, and then we'll share anything we got in terms of the energy flow through your body. And sometimes different things like will come up that might help, or there might be a meditation that might be helpful. We have lots of meditations on the website that can be a helpful tool as you're going through whatever you're going through. And then we pack up our stuff and we go home. So, and you get to stay home. You get to stay home. The best part,
Yeah.
the best part about getting Reiki at home is that you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah. No driving in traffic, no waiting for your access bus. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, you can just tuck in and go straight to sleep. Some people are concerned about what happens if I sleep through the whole session. Will I still receive the energy? And yes, absolutely. I find, especially if people are working through either a lot of fear, fight or flight energy, or doing a lot of physical healing, our brains need to rest to heal, and our bodies need to rest to heal. So sometimes when we do Reiki, like the person isn't even feeling tired, and then we start the session, they just like conk right out. And then as soon as the session's done, they come straight back up, and that is totally okay. The energy continues for long after the session is complete, which is also a really cool thing about that knee osteoarthritis study that we will link to in the description, because they showed that after only a handful of Reiki sessions, the people were still receiving a benefit from their Reiki session 2 months after their sessions completed, which is kind of like, again, I know this as a Reiki master. I've experienced that, but it's really neat to see it in black and white. So,
Really. Yeah. Well, and like what you're saying as well, like people are worried about if they fall asleep, but it's interesting comments I get sometimes is like people like, well, I really I don't do very well relaxing. I have a hard time relaxing. And they'll have a Reiki session and then they'll with me and they'll say, wow, I was really relaxed. And they're like surprised, of course, because they're like, I didn't, they don't think they can do it, but it's also, like another reminder of like, yes, you have this ability to go in deep and you have this ability to be kind to yourself and to recharge and all those wonderful energy intentions we're bringing in. And it's sort of, yeah, it's a real kind of eye opener, like, wow, I did that. And I can return to that feeling too. So yeah,
mhm.
it's
Yeah.
great.
And I want to drop in just before we close. I want to drop in one little thing for the caregivers, because I think that's a really powerful thing that Wellspring does. And I think it's always really good. Because if you are a caregiver and you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, yeah, I can get Reiki for my people who need all of the help and care, you also need Reiki. You really do. I'm just going to boss you around a little bit, a gentle bossing to get care for yourself. I know it is incredibly hard when you are just all day, every day caring for the person who may be unwell, and then maybe also caring for their children and pets and the house and doing all of the things. And your care seems like it comes dead last. Book yourself in for a Reiki session. Either it's sometimes it's really nice to just have that, time to step away and recharge. And the reason that I say this is because it is very difficult to feel like you can have that guilt-free time to nurture yourself. But I find it is the most important thing you can do. The more people are dependent upon you for their care, the more important it is that you are well. Because what happens to them if you go down? Not good things, right? So, just taking even just a few 5 minutes to just do a little meditation, to get outside, see a sunset, just, whatever tiny little slice of time you can for your own care. This could be its own whole podcast, Reiki for caregivers. We basically bully you into getting Reiki, uh, but we say so out of love, and
Mhm.
also we've all been in that space of being caregivers as parents and for elderly people that we
Yeah.
love, and it's some of the most rewarding and gratifying and exhausting and emotional work you'll do in your life. And it is also an absolute joy to support the supporters. So if you are also, maybe you're also a worker in a hospital or hospice setting, and your job is to care for people every day, all day, and you really know what you're talking about, or you understand what we're talking about. Getting Reiki for yourself is fantastic, especially if you are dealing with a bit of fatigue and burnout. Reiki is a really great way to sort of clear off any sort of lingering energy. A lot of caregivers are highly sensitive empaths, so you really feel into other people's pain and are sensitive, which makes you amazing at your work. But Reiki is really good at releasing some of that stagnant energy and just letting you be in that sort of clear, beautiful space. So, yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
so important. Yeah,
so
that's
important. So good. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today, for all those listening. And thank you, Tanya, for sharing mobile Reiki with more and more people. This is fantastic. For people who are wanting to get a mobile session, just reach out to us, send an email or call, and we'll get you booked in. We'll also be putting this up on our Jane app as well, so you can kind of see what spots are available. But I would say just like reach out to us and contact us, and we'll just sort of work it out with our schedule and your schedule and all the logistical details. So, but yeah, thanks, Tanya.
Well, thank you, Geneva. It's really great. And I just really appreciate everything you do and everything we're doing at Luna. And thanks. Yeah, it's been great talking about this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on the Luna Holistic Podcast. We're so grateful that you are here. If you've got a question, we'd love to hear from you. Go to lunaholistic.com/podcast and we'll answer you in an upcoming episode. Be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And also please rate, because you never know where your little 5 stars will go to shine light into somebody's heart today. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.